The Scottish Government doing what it does best again. Scotland, misogyny could be made a hate crime under new recommendations. However, not misandry, but we can get into that. The head of a working group that is recommending the laws said that the current legislation isn't working for women and it's lost the confidence of women in our population. And another thing I want to point out as well is look who wrote this article. Hello, old friend. Okay, for those of you that are new or those of you that don't remember, see how the journalist that I had words with outside of Airdrie Sheriff Court, that was him, James Matthews. The Scottish Government is to consider making misogyny a standalone hate crime. A working group set up to look into tackling violence and harassment against women has recommended the creation of a Misogyny and Criminal Justice Scotland Act. It would include misogyny as an aggravation in crimes such as assault and threatening behaviour and create 3 new offences. Stirring up hatred against women and girls. Right, the stirring up hatred one, we've spoke about that before. It's honestly like so fucking subjective, so grey, which is why the government, they want that stuff. Public misogynistic harassment, issuing threats of or invoking rape or sexual assault or disfigurement of women and girls online and offline. Now, do you want to know the really, really funny thing? All of those are illegal. All of those are already illegal. It's already a crime to do all of these things. Again, performative fucking nonsense. Bullshit. None of this is required. These are all crimes. These are all already crimes, punishable by law. What they want to do is create a whole act to make the intent behind the act carry a harsher sentence. What they could have done is they could have just amended the existing laws and made harsher sentences. Instead, what they're doing is basically doing this the whole long way round, right? Complete waste of fucking time. All of these things are all already crimes. Current legislation isn't working for women. Baroness Helena Kennedy QC, who led the working group, said, I think that we've been struggling to try to make law accommodate the experience of women. I completely forgot that if you went out and slapped a woman, you don't get arrested. I completely forgot. Isn't it? I mean, why are we wasting so much time, man? We better get in there before that. Before this law passes, you could do. I'm going to go home right now and I'm going to beat the shit out of my wife. She's small. She can't fucking fight back. She can't overpower me. One of the problems is the underlying attitudes which inform decision making about prosecutions, about what to investigate, about the whole business of criminal justice, isn't working for women, and it's lost the confidence of women in our population. How is it not working? You just say it isn't working. You're not providing any actual arguments. Do you know that if you commit a crime against a woman, if you're a man, if you commit a crime against a woman, you are more likely to get a harsher sentence? You're more likely to get a harsher sentence. Like, for example, if I go out in the street and punch a guy, or I go out in the street and punch a woman, right, I'm getting the bigger sentence for punching the woman, right? So if anything, the law actually favours the female experience, right? And I swear to God, like, if you're saying, oh, it doesn't work for women, it doesn't work for women, how? You're not actually saying why. Let me see. Okay, Sarah Everard, that was obviously a fucked up case, but that was a case of a fucking guy dressed as a cop. That was a guy dressed as a fucking cop, man. The work of the review panel predates the murder of marketing executive Sarah Everard in London on March 2021, but in publishing her group's findings, Baroness Kennedy cited her death at the hands of Metropolitan Police Officer Wayne Couzens. She said this police officer was known to be peculiar in relation to women, but also had recently been exposing himself and nothing had been done about it. If you don't act on the lower level stuff, then it creates a subsoil from which much more serious crime like rape and homicide takes place. Current law sends dangerous message to society. The recommendations have now been handed to the Scottish Government and have been welcomed by Fiona Drew, who runs the Emily Test charity aimed at tackling gender-based violence. Because again, apparently, I was unaware of this, it's legal to assault women. Like, apparently, if I go out and punch a guy, like, I'll get arrested. But if I go out and assault a woman, I won't get arrested. Right. This is just asking for special treatment. That's all this is. This is more performative crap. This is all the things you're asking for are all already illegal. Fiona's daughter, Emily, took her own life at Aberdeen University in 2016 after suffering abuse and violence at the hands of her boyfriend. Fiona told Sky News, we welcome the potential this new law brings in Scotland, as it is a strong and clear signal that misogyny will not be tolerated in our country. Well then, that guy was a piece of shit and he should have been arrested. Why wasn't anything done about it? Did you go to the police? Why did the family not intervene? I need to know more. I'm not commenting anything on it. I need to know more about that particular case. Women should be free to live their lives without fear caused by the ever-present threat of abuse by men, whether physical, verbal, or written. Should men not be entitled to the same thing then? Well, should men be free to live their lives without fear caused by the ever-present threat of abuse by women, whether physical, verbal, or written? Why do women get preferential treatment? You're asking for preferential treatment. Shouldn't the laws be equal? Shouldn't we all be equal under the law? I mean, if it's illegal to do something to a woman, it should be illegal to do the same thing to a man. This again is more women bullshit, right? We want special preferential treatment. But women, we are equal and we're all this fucking other stuff and everything. But we're so weak when it comes to the law. The draft. We're so weak. So that's fucking, yeah. I'm so weak. But I'm divorcing you. Give me half your stuff. As the law stands at the moment, a woman can receive abhorrent threats and abuse, which, although incredibly damaging and debilitating, doesn't necessarily break any laws. Yep, because sometimes in your life you're going to come across people that are arseholes, and they're going to be arseholes to you for all manner of different reasons. Maybe the way you're dressed, it may be something you said, maybe it's because of what you've got between your legs. It's something that we all have to deal with. However, if that arsehole puts their hands on you in any way, then they get arrested just like everybody else. There's laws for that. These already exist. This not only fails all women and girls. Okay, so you feel that you have the complete right to go through your life and no one is ever allowed to say anything bad to you. What an extreme sense of entitlement. So the people, by the way, see the people that wrote this then, that these are people that grew up with extreme privilege. Extreme privilege. These were rich people. These were rich, snotty people that came up with this legislation. Imagine actually thinking people should never ever say anything bad to you. Imagine actually thinking that. Extremely privileged, entitled people. This not only fails all women and girls, but it sends a dangerous message to society that these behaviours are acceptable. No, it does not. No, it does not. Everything, we have a very strict social hierarchy and social culture where we know that things like that are bad. Right? I know that just walking up to a woman in the street and calling her fucking names and screaming in her face, I know that's a bad thing to do. I know that's a bad thing to do. Everybody knows it's a bad thing to do. And the funny thing is, if I ever did that, people would come up and run to her defence. And that's good, because that's the type of society that we have built. You, however, this is just a case here. I want the government to do it. Oh, daddy government. Daddy government, we are strong, independent women, but government, please do everything for us. Why can't you deal with it yourselves if you're so strong? I'm just wondering, if you're so strong, why can't you deal with it yourselves? If you're as equal as us and you can do everything the exact same, or better than we can, why is this something that you can't sort out yourselves? Why do you need the government's help? Justice Secretary Keith Brown says this is an extremely important piece of work to help inform policy to address the many forms of violence, which is already illegal, transgression, which is already illegal, and abuse, which is already illegal, experienced by women, which may emanate from misogyny, and is a milestone in making our society safe, equal, and fair. Because, like I said before, apparently these things aren't illegal, and better get all your fucking assaults and rapes in before this law goes into effect. Because apparently you can just do all of those things. It's clear to me that to achieve true equality, here's the funny part, we must continue to think about our message and how men's attitudes to women can be effectively challenged to make women feel safe when going about their everyday lives. We welcome the working group's report on its findings and recommendations and will now carefully consider those before publishing our response in due course. So basically, if you make, however, I love that part, achieve true equality, right, that's great. So basically, by making misogyny a hate crime, or making it a crime and a standalone offence, but not misandry, you are literally enforcing inequality. This is inequality enforced by law, right? And also by saying, these women need special protection with the law, you are pretty much out loud acknowledging that people aren't equal. Genders aren't equal. People have certain skills and certain weaknesses, and it is broad and it expands to very, very many different things, to the point where, some people just really can't be compared. How do you compare someone who's an excellent brain surgeon to someone who is an excellent fucking Dota player? It's apples and oranges. Very, very different skill sets, very, very different skills, right? However, by saying, oh, women are pathetic and weak and need all these little special protections, you're saying that they are lesser. That's what you're saying. By saying this law will bring about equality because people inherently aren't equal. That's and also by making misogyny a hate crime and not misandry, you are enforcing inequality. So if this law actually does pass and this gets added as its own thing, then we will not be an equal society and it will be the government that caused that. And in fact, it will be enforcing it through law. The state was a mistake.